Yeah.
The body, the soul, vitality. Fasting is something, touch wood, that you're a proponent for.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with it. Touch wood. I'd love to hear your thoughts
Through fasting.
through whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you're always very soul connected. It's more of like you're just you remember again, and that very remembrance is a way as well. You could say that is the way of truly the straightest arrow of getting there, because as soon as you realize that and realize the other side, your true state, then you pretty much questioning and waking up to everything at that point. Now there's other things you could say. There's fasting, but fasting can do it, but that's more of cleaning the body and trying to bring the body back to its state of the motor and everything working properly. But if one truly desires to fully, you could say, awaken, is remembering the other side, remembering your home. Because you don't come from here. I don't come from here. No one comes from here. They come from somewhere else. And so when you just wake up to that, I think that is the quickest way, the most direct path to truly waking up. If that answers your question.
It does. What are some of the social connotations of us not feeling like we're home? Is that where consumerism, in your opinion, kind of comes from a little bit as well? Like we're trying to plug a hole that actually can't be plugged on this side?
Well, the state is so the reason why I say that is because right now your body is in a state of it's going to die, it's decaying. So you don't experience that when you are in your soul. So here you experience all the decay, the death of the body, maintenance. Like when I say home, that's stepping back into, you could say, abundance, being infinite. Like nothing is like it is here in that way of death of things. It's life of things constantly.
We leave here, we go home, we choose to reincarnate. And is that, what's going on with that? Like, why do we consistently choose to come back and have this particular experience if we've had it once before? Is it we want to hang out with different soul pods? Do we have soul family? Like, what's going on with the whole reincarnation thing, in your opinion?
Well, so something that some people don't. Yeah. So it's not like this is where you go into the karma thing and you're forced to reincarnate and soul trap and all that stuff. No one's ever forced to come back here. So, based off of all of the things that I've accessed, as well, I wasn't here many times myself, and many people haven't been here many times, so, when you go over like out as well, let's just say the incarnation doesn't exist on the other side in the way that it's experienced here. We incarnate here, we forget, we go through, you could say we forget our home, etc. But when you're there, when you step into, let's just say, another universe, another construct, you're stepping into that with your soul in full remembrance of everything. And so, yeah, and this is why I stated before what I was told. And I bring it up a lot. This was the universe, the construct that was created to experience that, which we're not the only one of its kind in that way. Because it's, it's not quite like that through what I've seen.
So, in your interpretation, the word Maya and what you understand of it potentially.
I don't know what it is. So you have to clarify.
Okay. So in the Hindu scriptures, they call this reality that we're experiencing Maya, but it's also it's I don't want to say incorrectly translated, but it's a multi-dimensional word that's 2D translated into illusion is probably the way to articulate it. Yeah, but also it's not really, because illusion also sounds like holographic, like it just, you wave your hand through it and it's not really there, as opposed to actually there are some real tangible things from the experience that you can actually, your soul can imbue, which is actually quite the blessing. But yeah, anyway, I was just, the question was going to be your thoughts on the concept of
well, it's going to be, I would agree with that. I mean, this is an illusion, but with that being said, it's not an illusion that this is not real. This is real. You are having the physical experience that your soul will then take with it when you leave here. You don't forget this experience. It adds to you. So you could say the ultimate currency on the other side, even though there is no currency, but the ultimate currency of wealth is the experience and the wisdom that the soul has, because then it could speak upon things, it could speak upon based off that experience. Yeah. So yeah, this is an illusion in that aspect of, you actually are not experiencing your true soul divinity in that sense. Because if you were, right now you would be able to do anything you desire with a snap of a finger, because whatever you think is instantly there in front of you. That's the power of your soul once you leave. But here, due to time and etc., and yeah, I won't go into all of it, but you know what I mean.
Switching gears a little, you going back on the other side, I'd love to hear some stories of some of the interesting things that you've experienced, some of the interesting things that you've come back with. I heard you say somewhere along the way, Nikola Tesla, the 369, and how baptism actually works with.
Okay, so I'll just skip over the first one, things that because I feel like I've answered that one already, or I felt like I've answered it in many other ones, but I'll skip to the 369 one if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So the 369 stuff is stuff that I've accessed within the halls of Amenti. So that's a place that I've been many times. It's actually the most frequent places that I go to out of my body, and that's where. So they have back in that period of time, they had certain beds, and those beds you were able to, you could say, heal, project consciousness into other forms, and I'll leave it as simple as that. But in terms of baptism, what I was showing is that when 369 with Tesla was a code, a sequence of events, or a sequence of frequencies. Yeah. And essentially what this was, is it was a set of frequencies to put the body back to its base template. You could say reactivating certain things within the body. And it's mirrored off of these things. And I just put them in numbers and stuff. It's 111 equals 3, 222 equals 6, and then 333 equals 9. And so you could say that is the first pair of clusters within a particular sequence, creating the 369 cluster. Three sequences of frequencies, one cluster creating 369. Does that make sense so far? Okay. And then you could keep on multiplying this as well. So you could go 444 equals 3 when you add up the double digits as well, comes to 3. And then 555 comes to 6. 3. And then 666 comes to 9. Yeah. And then that's another set of frequencies targeted. And then again, you repeat the cycle, even so much so you could even go past 369 as well. You'll find that even certain frequencies, and I know I'm probably going to mispronounce this one because I was looking this up, but I'm just going to say the flower of life, one of those symbols that is very well known. When you look at that particular frequency, whatever that hertz is, I don't remember off the top of my head, but when you add all those together, it comes to either a 3, 6, or 9, and that you could say that's one sequence within the three frequencies. And when you complete that cluster of frequencies, and you say you complete the circuit, because even with the heart as well. So right now, the heart operates off of three clusters in that way. You have a positive, negative, and an in between. It creates a toroidal field. Toroidal field has 3. So you're completing that circuit. The same thing with the construct. This known universe, has a positive, negative, and an in between. It's a complete toroidal field. Yeah. And so what you're doing with these numbers is you're actually just mimicking exactly what the physical body's doing and what the construct is doing to realign it back to a certain state, pretty much. Does that
yeah, that explains the Nikola Tesla. Yeah, that explains the Nikola Tesla aspect of it. And is that what you were saying before? Baptism, you won't explain? Is that because I was trying to understand? Like at the moment, there was the energy going in that understanding the threes somehow led to how we reprogram water with our thoughts and minds. But actually, there's like a divine plan behind. But sorry, I'm interrupting.
Yeah, no, you're good. So that particular set of frequencies, you could say, helps with the connection again of the, like I said, putting the body back to its state, and you could say, just let's scientific words, DNA. Yeah, you're rewriting these things and creating this better connection for the soul to fully fuse into the central nervous system. So that's basically what that is doing, and that was the origins of baptism, essentially, was to reprogram the body, reborn again in that way. And you can say even cleaning your sins, if that's what biblically they say, yeah? Because you would be, what is a sin? A sin is, in essence, a sin is doing things out of love, but it's also doing things against yourself that will harm you and harm others. That's so you're basically ridding the body of sin, which is ridding the body of pain, disease, etc., because all those, even disease is a sin on the body, if that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. I'm not religious, by the way, but I'm just, I think it's the best word to use in context to baptism or baptism. Yeah. So it's, yeah. Even when you look at the will and belief of the soul too, you don't necessarily even need, if the soul's in a certain state of mind, state of frequency here, you don't even need those numbers per se, because your soul, your body is the ultimate piece of technology that if you were to speak to it and command it, your cells will start to express themselves in that way. It's no different from when you're in a certain environment. If people are in a certain environment, it's actually proven that your cells start to express themselves in the environment that you're in. Yeah. So when you change the environment that you're in, and you also start speaking with intention, your cells will start to express themselves in that way, pretty much. And I've stated this in the beginning with water and stuff. You could literally speak through water, love, I hate you, many different words, and the water will start to take on the shape and start to make crystals, if you freeze it, of that which you spoke to it. Now, if your words could do that to water, what would make you think that it cannot be done to your body? What would make you think that you can't do that to your cells? If you could speak to water and say, I love you, and the water changes, what would make you think that doing that to yourself wouldn't have the same effect? What would make you think that even the way you feel, truly feel, wouldn't have that same effect? What would make you think that your environment of where you're at wouldn't have that effect on you? And so this has been so well understood inside of the systems. And so they do this through music, playing certain frequencies through music, unconsciously, people listening to certain things, doing certain things, unaware of that which they're not knowing that which they're doing to themselves. Because as I said before, if you could do that to water, you could do that to yourself. And if you could just truly believe in that and understand that fully and completely, then I'll leave it there. But yes, things will start to be done to you that you would classify as biblical events. in short.
Leaning into remembering, was the human species at large potentially more aware of the types of conversations that you're having in yesteryear? Have we lost some of this information, or is this new information in your opinion? How does this all place?
No. This is not new information. This was all very well understood back in time, back in the history of this place.
How long ago are we talking? Like, since we've lost memory of such technologies, if you want to call it that, is it called it?
Yeah. No, I get you. I'm always very careful when I share this. So, I always tend to go on the farther end of this. But I'm going to go on the farther end because I've said this before, but just for this, I feel, just to go on the farther end of 2,000 years. Let's go 2,000 years was when people talk about the flood or the reset or the galactic wars or the wars of heaven or the wars on earth, the earthly realm, all that was happening at the exact same time. Back in his history, his story, because it's, this information was known to everybody. So much so they understood so much of the nature of reality of this place and this construct that the very structures that they built were built off of that. Built off the sun, the sun following this path. The sun actually follows a path of a infinity 8. Yeah. And it's 23.4 degrees to Tropic of Capricorn to Tropic of Cancer. And it follows that path. And this is how they were able to, all through the structures, all through the pyramids, you'll see that the sun is perfectly timed based off certain cycles and certain event. I call them event markers, the inevitabilities of this construct that will always happen regardless. Yeah. And so they understood this construct so well. They even understood the stars, dimensional spaces, portal access points, 12 stargates. And they understood baptism, to where the water and the frequency that was being resonated within the structures themselves, you could say the earthly realm was experiencing heaven on earth. Yeah. So this isn't, what I'm saying isn't new information. It's not just information where it's just like, this is brand new. This is very old, very well known information, even information on the other side with the stuff that I've experienced through the realms and through the records. So it's just people are.
Why did we forget it?
Well, that goes into a topic of a discussion that I don't really feel I want to go into in this particular interview, because I have answered it in certain segments, but it opens up such a can of things that I will actually be here for another half an hour just going into that.
For part two. Okay. Yeah, cool.
That goes into a lot of things, because I try to be very careful, with certain things that they don't get taken out of context. But I won't. Yeah, I'll leave it there.
No, I appreciate that.
Okay.
I appreciate you honoring. Question was going to be where we're currently placed in time. So when you're traveling through the contract out of body, you said you've been shown the nature of time. My mind boggles at that one and gets really intrigued.
Okay.
Because some people say time moves forward, some people say it's moving backwards, some people are like, I don't really understand much. But what were you shown about the nature of? What do you mean by that?
Okay, yeah. So time we think is a very linear thing, and it's not. We experience it based off individuals, like I said, because not every individual is only accessing the 0 point whatever percent of the light spectrum. Some people do experience more than that, and they have activated certain things within their body to access even more in the physical body as well. But so we experience time in that fashion, majority of people. But when you're out of your body, you see time for what it really is. You could experience the past, present, and potential futures. Yeah. Now, potential futures are this. I've shared this a long time ago through, I don't even know what interview, because I've shared so much information through other stuff. But this was the best version of breaking it down for me, of how time works, to best articulate it and explain it. How time is experienced on the other side, or how you could view it, is imagine a deck of cards. So right now, if I take a deck of cards and I spread out those deck of cards, we will experience time based off from this card to this card to this card to this card. So from event to event to event, very linear. But you could view time on the other side by taking those deck of cards, putting them all together, and you could look down through the center and you could see all happening, all of things playing out all at once, potentials, past, present. And that's how it was shown to me. And that's how I explain it when people ask that question, because that's how time could be, or you could view time like that. Yeah. And this is where it goes into, I've seen many times potentialities of time playing out. And I've seen, okay, this is going to happen, and it happened, versus, this is going to happen. It was slightly off, slightly different, because you're accessing a lot of potentials, and you could start to navigate with integrity of yourself, and also integrity for that information, of making sure that you are in that state of integrity when you do access those things as well. So
how does,
Does that make sense for you as the way that you sort of think of things? Okay.
It does help. Yeah. It opens up another question around potentials though. How do you access some potentials and leave behind others? Is it just where you're vibing at in terms of frequency, or what's going on there?
Yeah. Okay. So when you access potentials, it's typically done through your own field. That's typically it. So, you could access world event potentials, and I have done that before. Some people even have done that, that are just doing the, practice of this. And they're like, oh yeah, I've seen this and I've seen that. And they were potentials, and it was very accurate. But for majority, 80% of people, when they're experiencing that, it's going to be through their own field, their own potentials of events. Yeah. And the people that they're associating themselves with are connected to, because we hold a field all around us, same with everybody else. And so how it's a experience typically is that you'll come out of your body, and you'll be out of your body physically. You could see your physical body on the wherever you're at, and you actually see, let's just say, a version of yourself or a version of another person. It looks almost like dreamlike, because it's like you could tell that you are seeing potentiality, and you'll see them starting to walk and do things as they were physically doing things. Then when you come back into your body, you could either say, you could not say anything and watch it play out, or you could tell somebody else, so it's like, oh, I've seen this. And that's sort of how it's experienced, and it's pretty, even for myself, seeing it many times, like I was just like, this is still very, like, holy crap, like it's exciting in a lot of ways. And that's where you need to, I'm very, very big on the unconditional love and integrity when you do this, because the moment you step out of that, man, you're the only person that you can ever escape. And the unforgivable sin is a sin you can't forgive yourself for. So, you need to be with the understanding of who we are and who you are on the other side, to make sure that you are in that state always. Yeah. The moment you start stepping out of that, you start creating your versions of hell in that aspect, because okay.
Knowing what you're sharing, why wouldn't we forgive ourselves?
So we do, but the reason why I said the unforgivable sin is a sin that you can't forgive yourself for, because some individuals, some souls, based off the things that they have done here and knowing of that which they do, still carry pain on the other side. And I did say that everything's in a state of unconditional love, but you do still carry pain. The greatest pain that I've ever experienced, the greatest, was on the other side, which is the reason why I'm doing this. Not because out of fear or any of those things. It was because I was in a place where I fully know of that which I return back to, and that which I know I should do with integrity for myself, time, and integrity for the information, and sharing that accordingly. And this even goes back into, let's just go near-death experience. A mother dies, and that mother was very in the know of things that it has done to a child. Yeah. When that mother dies, and let's just say that that child has a near-death experience and visits that mother is saying, I am so sorry, because it carries that regret. The thing is the regrettable is the unforgettable on the other side. And yes, you can forgive yourself, but don't think that if you take things here and regret that you are going to forget that, because you will not. That is the pain that you carry on the other side in doing things outside of love. And if I were to, let's just say, if I were to leave this realm entirely, and if my one message was to, over all else, it would be, make sure that you are always acting to the best of your ability at all times in integrity and unconditional love, because then you will never have to face yourself in regret of that which you have not done, in knowing. Yeah. So I hope that wraps it up and gives the context around it, because like I said before, you can forgive yourself, and it always comes to that point anyways, where you eventually forgive yourself. But it's not a forgiveness of pretending a forgiveness. It's one of coming to a full realization. And sometimes souls on the other side have to wait until they apologize, until they can actually forgive themselves, to where that individual, let's just say for the context of the story, where the child says, I forgive you. And then therefore that mother could then relieve herself.
Could that potentially be some of the context around, I know you said karma's not like what we thought it was before, but potentially the regrets, is that somebody could potentially want to come back and do it better, sort of thing? Yeah, no, not really.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about karma, the karma is done as a forceful thing. So you will be, based off my understanding of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But based off my understanding of karma, and I don't really read much or anything, but based off what people have told me about karma, you do this, then you're going to be forced to come back, or you're going to have to pay back, and etc. It's not necessarily like that. The soul is never fully forced, but at the same token, with that, if you are in regret here, that it doesn't change. Yeah, and you still carry that. So I don't know if that just makes things more convoluted, or if it...
A little bit. I'll explain why. Because karma, I think karma, I do see where you're coming from with, but again, I think that's the description. And pardon me, I say this respectfully.
No, all good, all good. Karma, I've asked you to clarify.
Yeah, that's almost karma. That's once again the Maya being the flattened out version of it. Karma links to our sanskars, and sanskars is like our tendencies. We have certain tendencies, which actually runs all the way as deep as our desire. So it actually, actions we've taken in the past influence the desires we take in the future. And it's literally the cleanest word I could probably use is accruing. It's just an accruing. People think you accrue karma. It's actually you're just accruing as you're going through, like lessons we accrue, things like messages, like, as we're going on our way, we accrue stuff. Like it's just stuff we're doing. But what we've accrued, like attracts like kind of vibe. And so I'm imagining, and this is where, you've accrued to the other side. Back to the nature of my question was, you've accrued to the other side, and then you've landed here, and you're kind of like, oh, I see where I did certain things wrong. I'd love maybe a do-over, to sort of see if I can give that another red hot crack, and then
Okay.
lo and behold, you forget everything again and you start again. You probably just make the same mistakes again. I shouldn't say that. Stop saying that. Touch wood. But yeah, I don't know. That was the nature of my question.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think karma is a force. I
gotcha.
think karma is something that it's way more subtler than that. It's something that it's an accruing of our past that's also influencing our future, but it's not like a debt in as many ways as people think of it. Have I explained it correctly? I don't know. I just
I believe I'm following you. And if you are if people are saying karma in the way of you have to repay this, you're forced to, then that's no different from the biblical religion side of things, where it's just another set of forceful things done to you, and that's not necessarily that's not necessarily the truth in that way. But if what you're explaining with karma in the context of it is that if you are in the regrettable becomes the unforgettable, and you carry that through, and that is the same, then yes, you could just say that's another karma, if that's how you are.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Explaining it in any ways.
Yeah.
But that's not my understanding based off how I hear other people explain it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally get it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Perfect.